You know the feeling. You're standing in the middle of a room, desperately searching your brain for something to say, and coming up completely empty. Fortunately, you don't have to rely on hoping inspiration strikes. You can use a simple, four-step mechanical framework to engineer an engaging conversation from scratch. Before we get into step 1, I want you to picture someone you struggle to make small talk with. Keep them in mind. We're going to build a toolkit you can use on them tomorrow. Conversational charm functions as a learnable, repeatable system of tactics that any person can execute with the right training. Let's start with step 1, prioritizing the quality of your words over the quantity. When silence falls in a conversation, our immediate reflex is to panic. We start throwing words at the wall, babbling about the weather or traffic just to fill the quiet. You need to short-circuit that reflex by applying a mental filter. Before you open your mouth, evaluate the actual purpose of your next sentence. If it doesn't add value, keep it to yourself. Think about the most confident person you know. They rarely speak in long, nervous paragraphs. They say exactly what they mean, and then they stop. By stripping away the verbal clutter, the words you actually choose to say carry more weight. Your listener naturally leans in, knowing that when you speak, it matters. That brings us to step 2. Mastering the tactical pause. Most of us are terrified of dead air. We treat a break in the conversation as a sign that we're failing. To avoid that silence, we rely on weak defense mechanisms. We stretch our sentences with ums, uhs, and likes, hoping the other person will jump in to rescue us. Look at this comparison. To break the filler word habit, you need to silently count to 2 before answering any direct question. The data shows a massive psychological mismatch here. In your head, that 2-second pause feels like an agonizing eternity, but to the person watching you, it looks like deep, thoughtful consideration. If you can hold that silence while maintaining steady eye contact, the entire dynamic of the interaction shifts in your favor. This delay removes the outward cues of panic. You project the image of someone who commands respect, rather than someone desperate for approval. Step 3 deals with the most common trap in small talk, slipping into interview mode. We tend to ask rapid-fire questions because it puts the pressure on the other person to perform. But those questions usually demand specific one-word answers that instantly kill the momentum of the chat. Here's how that plays out. You ask a generic question like, "What are your hobbies?" They say, "Reading," and you hit a dead end. To fix this, drop the question format. Make an observational statement instead, like, "You look like an outdoors person." A statement acts as a low-pressure invitation. You aren't interrogating them for facts, you are offering them a prompt they can react to however they want. They will naturally respond in one of 2 ways. They will either enthusiastically agree and tell you about their last hiking trip, or they will playfully correct you and tell you they prefer staying inside with a movie. Swapping questions for statements destroys the awkward interview dynamic. It forces the exchange out of a rigid Q&A and turns it into fluid, organic banter. Once you have the banter flowing, you apply step 4, conversational threading. Every sentence contains multiple paths. Threading isolates one specific concept. You use that isolated keyword as the exact anchor point for your next sentence. If they mention moving from a small town, you pull the small town thread and explore. The main reason people fail at this is because they aren't actually listening. If you are in your own head trying to plan your next clever response, you will completely miss the thread they just handed you. Actively pulling these threads creates a self-sustaining conversational engine, providing a clear path forward whenever the dialogue starts to stall. So let's look at your new checklist. You now have 4 mechanical tools to replace the old habits. You prioritize quality, you embrace the pause, you use statements instead of questions, and you thread their answers to keep the loop going. Take this toolkit and try it out. Find that specific person you thought of at the start of this video, and apply these steps in your next interaction. Becoming a magnetic communicator relies on the confident, deliberate execution of